T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Uno minuto. Are we safe there?
Seven o'clock, homie.
It is 7 o'clock. Oh no! Alrighty, and welcome back.
Hey.
Welcome back to
What's
another
up, you sexy creature, you?
episode of the UnframeofBody show. This year, Anthony attended Tim Tebow's Night to Shine event and reports back on his experience there. Valentine's Day fail stories, holding ourselves accountable, and a hashtag UnframeofBody update. Also, stay tuned for the Phobeismist as we educate you on why Valentine's Day is so offensive.
You're listening to the Unframe of Mind show, the place to have the most mind-stretching, unprotected, intellectual intercourse of your life. Your hosts battle the forces of evil by lobbing fiery balls of truth, reason, and evidence over safe room walls.
All right, and welcome back to another episode of the Unframe of Mind show, where we have uncomfortable conversations without a condom. I'm your host, Daniel Wagner.
And Bathrobe, Anthony Trewick.
Bathrobe, Anthony Trewick. It's like a special edition of a Barbie.
Yeah.
You buy either, she's got the normal house clothes, street clothes, or bathrobe Barbie. Yeah.
Or hooker clothes. Or Section 8 clothes.
Section 8 Barbie. So I made a comment to you before we went live, and I said, you know you got a good friendship when you can wear a man's robe and he can wear your wife's.
That just shows you how close we really are.
I think you you would put a little extra sweat in here for me. It's good. It smells nice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It smells amazing.
Gotta leave you with that Anthony du jour.
That's right. So we got a lot in store for you tonight. I say we just jump right into it.
Yeah.
The Phobeismist.
Phobeismist.
All right, and today on the Phobeismist, we're going to tell you why you should be offended by Valentine's Day. Yes, Valentine's Day. Super offensive holiday. And Anthony, would you like here to share with us why you think Valentine's Day is like the most offensive holiday of all of the holidays?
I think it's offensive because we put women on a pedestal that they must wear sexy lingerie and come into the bedroom and, fulfill that desire. My question is why don't men do it? Why don't men wear the lingerie and come in strutting their stuff and swinging their ding-a-ling? I mean, that's just kind of what I want to know.
That is an excellent question. I really feel like we should put more pressure on men in society to wear lingerie during
Not that there's already not enough pressure to put on men to begin with.
Yeah, and if you saw last week's episode of the Phobeismist, you would have seen the men's lingerie panties that we had.
I was out of town, man. I'd missed that one.
that was a fun one. I think that was a special product for traps specifically.
Oh Jesus!
It was like
I think
lingerie with a nice large package area for that. I mean,
some just lace, silky panties, I guess, and women always they're expected to do so much for us that I think that I'm a little offended that men should be able to step up and and fill that role sometimes. And
I'm
even if
telling-
it's
I'm-
one night
I'm
out of the
telling
year,
you. I'm
even if
telling
it's
you.
just one night out of the year, guys, step up.
Yeah. Let's put on something lacy, a little high heels to get that ass up in there. Come on, people. We got to get this shit together. Also, Valentine. You know what? I'm not even gonna lie. I was trying to be offended by this. I was trying really hard to be offended by this, but then off a
People beat
whim,
us to us.
off a
Beat it
whim, I went
us.
to look this up, and it turns out Valentine's Day has already been claimed as offensive by social justice warriors everywhere.
I'm sure it probably didn't take long.
So, just for shits and giggles, 5-piece of Valentine's Day advice from social justice internet. Yeah, this is no shit. Number 1 is buy your, quote, friends with benefits a, quote unquote, no means no conversation heart ring. I don't even know what that means.
Okay.
It says, this is from thenationalreview.com. It says, hopefully your booty call is just as into consent as you are. If they're not, ditch him quick. Women's website Romper advises, quote, this no means no conversation heart ring, $12.50, is a sweet little statement piece. Oh, God.
Wow.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I like this one here. No, it's number 3 I like, but we'll go through it. It's only 5. So number 2 is talk about diversity before sex because that can be an aphrodisiac of sorts. Fun. I don't know about you, but I've never gotten turned on by sitting there with my significant other and been like, you know what? Let's talk diversity.
Yeah.
I'm really into
I
diversity.
want to hear how diverse you are.
Let's see how diverse you can be in this bed,
yeah.
baby.
Give me that diverse ding-a-ling. Come on, bring it.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God.
Oh.
Oh, sorry. I'm not sure where this is going. Number 3.
Ooh.
This is number 3. Celebrate all kinds of love because focusing on romantic love is offensive to asexuals. Yeah. Are you only celebrating with your boyfriend or girlfriend? If so, that's offensive. According to Everyday Feminism, Valentine's Day, quote, promotes the idea that romantic and sexual relationships should be something that everyone aspires to, which marginalizes aromantic and asexual people. So make sure to give cards to your siblings and think deeply about the importance of beauty in non-romantic relationships. So that's what I'm thinking.
We already do that. We do it for birthdays and
You know, I get it. I get it in school. You know, you have to give one to all the kids so they don't all get all offended, you know. But
did you ever make those?
I'm sorry, I'm just not giving my sister a box of chocolates. It might
Yeah.
deliver the wrong message. You know what I'm saying?
That's just a little awkward. I mean,
we're-
if you're from Arkansas or Alabama,
we're in
that
Tennessee.
might work.
We are in the
Well,
South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me just off subject. When you were younger and in school, did you guys ever make the shoebox Valentine Day
Oh
card
yeah.
things?
Oh yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And every year it was filled with a bunch of generic Valentine's Day cards that the kids kind of got hastily threw together with a pre-made list of names in the classes because, you know, Lord knows nobody would remember my name. So that's probably the only reason I ever got Valentine's Day cards is because they were guilted into it or forced to do so just for equality's sake.
You know what we ought to do on the group page? We ought to do something for Valentine's Day, kind of similar to that.
Yeah.
But pick somebody in the group to send a Valentine's Day card to. It doesn't matter if it's a guy or girl. I think we could have a lot of
Oh,
fun
geez,
with
it's
that.
like a Secret Santa, but for
Yeah.
Valentine's Day?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no.
We draw names in the group.
There might be a little too much personal information being shared there unless it's a digital Valentine's Day because I am not giving my address to a bunch of people on the internet.
We send a Valentine's Day card that says, "Will you watch our show? Yes or no?" Check 1.
That's right.
Majority of them come back mark no. But
So number 4, if you must celebrate, make sure to at least spend time thinking about how offensive the day is while you're doing it.
or how about just don't celebrate the day and just go about your business?
No, listen how they put this in an op-ed in the Inkwell, Armstrong State University's official student newspaper. Megan McGinnis clarifies that you actually can be a feminist and still, quote, indulge in heart-shaped boxes of chocolate and gladly receive roses. It's like, okay, so we can still get all the benefits of being a feminine or being feminine, but anyway.
Do you realize how much work would go into this to plan all this out? To do step by step on how to approach someone. I mean, by the end of the night and before I even enter the bedroom, I'm going to be exhausted from having to read all this crap and do all this stuff.
It goes on to say, provided, of course, that you don't forget to, quote, recognize the negative aspects of the holiday and choose not to indulge our society's archaic notions of gender and heteronormativity. Like sentences that I never thought I was going to read in my entire life.
Basically, this is a guide to not be romantic 101.
Yeah, like how to cock block instantly, or how, like, what is it? How to instantly debone your man.
Wow.
5, make sure to acknowledge that women also eat chips because people only ever talk about men eating chips, and that is a huge sexist problem. Wow.
What does chips have to do with anything?
I don't know. I read an actual piece titled Doritos Ketchup Rose's advertisement assumes women don't eat junk food, written by a girl named Lizzie Hill, who apparently loves chips, and was very upset that the ad for the Doritos Rose bouquet had a woman giving it to a man, which ignores the fact that women like to eat junk food too. Like how can you watch
Okay.
I'm done with this. I can't. I just can't. It's too much. Back to our nice, chill fireplace.
You know, the cool thing is when we get a bigger studio, we can actually put down a bearskin rug.
That's right.
You know,
or you could be a bearskin rug.
Well, as long as you lay on top of me.
Of course.
You can find us over on Pornhub.
Of course.
That's Unframe of
I
Mind.
wouldn't wish for anything different. So, before we move on to that subject, I got one more video I want to show you it's from Campus Reform. It's about students signing a petition to ban offensive, Valentine's Day. This had me dying. It's 2 minutes runtime, so just bear with me. It's worth every minute. It's hilarious. So here we go.
Excluded? Yeah.
Oh, hit the right button. There we go. All right.
I'm Calvin Phillips with Campus Reform. Today we're at Cornell University with a petition to ban Valentine's Day because it's too offensive to single students. Will anyone sign this? Let's find out. So we're sending a letter to the school administration asking them to stop promoting Valentine's Day on campus.
Oh, so fair.
Valentine's Day as a whole reinforces gender stereotypes.
Oh, okay.
It sends a message that single people are inherently less valuable than people in relationships.
I feel that.
I feel that.
And it kind of pushes this archaic idea that you have to be in a relationship to have value. And so we're asking the university to keep Valentine's Day off campus. We're just asking the school to remember students that don't feel like a relationship is necessary for fulfillment.
That's a great petition.
That's very nice of you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's really awesome. I would love to sign it.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Yeah.
No, that's totally fair. I was intrigued when you first said it, but I totally get that.
How do you guys feel about it?
I agree.
I'm in a relationship, but I completely understand.
I always
I'm
get
so
super
woke.
depressed.
I get it.
I
In many
totally
ways,
feel
single
that.
students are marginalized on campus, and maybe having resources to help them feel less excluded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would also point out the administration is really heteronormative about it, which is kind
Yeah.
of f***ed up. Would be another interesting argument to make.
There's one thing that I heavily disagree with, and it's the candygrams that they do for Valentine's
Yes.
Day.
Yes.
That kind of makes people feel like they don't have friends, even though it's probably not the case at all. It's just a selection, a popularity thing.
The bells of love are ringing, but not for everyone. You know, people in relationships, they rub it in your face.
Yeah,
And single people, they shouldn't have to put up with that, you know?
yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for your support. Appreciate it.
I hope you enjoy success.
Yes, I think we will. Thank you.
Also, there's the whole Valentine's Day, which is heteronormative,
Yeah.
and a very stupid response to protests about Valentine's Day.
I would just love to get this idea around. I think it's kind of
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Social justice warrior virtue signaling lesson number 1. See how many times you can work in the name heteronormative. That's how you know you're winning.
Yep. Because
They could
we're
at least
so
allocate
woke.
Resources towards, having a safe space for single students to talk about what society makes them feel.
A safe space for single students. Oh my god. That is fabulous. I wonder how many.
Petition?
I'm not sure because I'm not 100% know about this matter.
Okay.
Wow, that's great.
And yet here we are promoting a
love
sex contract over on Unframe of Mind.
I know, that's fantastic. Holy crap! I've never once in my life used the word heteronormative unironically.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever heard of that word until tonight.
I
It
hear
shows
it
you
all
how
the
much
time.
I don't pay attention
Yeah,
to
well,
stupid
just
shit
listening
like
to
this,
different
but whatever.
SJW type of programs and
I'm just not woke.
I don't know. I guess you're not. You need to get with it, man. You need to be more woke.
Just showing my age.
So let's take a visit to the comments section. We got some crazy mofos out there tonight.
A lot of people in the chat.
Oh, Jeremy says from YouTube says, "Holy shit, y'all, sexy AF."
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Yeah. Chicka Chicka Bow Wow says, silly redhead, the robes don't disappoint.
Never do.
I'll take it. Cody Cag says, hello. Oh, see. Oh, and Jeremy says, I'm not offended by ladies wearing lingerie. And Ryan from Facebook says, I think it's offensive, Valentine's Day, because men are required to romance the female. When do the men get romanced? That's a good point. That's a great point, Ryan. That's a great point. When do the men get romanced? I am now outraged, even more than I was a minute ago.
Hey, Bayonet's in the chat.
You're not feeling that?
No.
Okay.
I'm just being honest.
So let's see. Congratulations. You've received... Oh, I don't need that information. That's not a comment. All right. So give the lady what they want. Handcuffs, whip, and a good neck choke. I've never been asked for those things specifically, but since you know what women like, I may have to give you a call for a little coaching, sir.
If I'm going to choke a woman, she's going to know it. Might smack her around a little bit, too.
All right. And Jeremy from YouTube asks, are y'all freeballing live?
Do you want us to stand up?
That's well, I'm not comfortable with that. So y'all we'll just leave that to your imaginations.
Yeah, just like us wearing lingerie. Leave it to your imagination.
Leave it to your imagination.
Yes.
Probably better if we just don't wear the lingerie at all. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, so back to this. Yeah, I've got a few little Valentine's Day horror stories that I would like to share that I thought was pretty funny. I found here. Starting with this one here. It's called Young Love. This is from EliteReaders.com. Valentine's Day stories. It's a real short story, so it's not a huge deal. Here, let's say, when I was 11, this person named Mo says, when I was 11, I gave a girl I had a crush on a rose. I waited for her outside of a class, gave it to her. She smiled, said thank you, and then walked away a few feet before throwing it into the garbage. In her defense, I was a funny-looking 11-year-old. Like kids, it takes a little while before you learn those social norms. Like you probably shouldn't just throw it in the trash right away. I thought that was adorable.
That's hilarious.
This one's called A Bad Case of Mistaken Identity. So this is from OstFan815. It says, in 6th grade, I had a crush on a girl and I wanted to send her a rose, but I didn't want her to recognize my handwriting, so I paid one of my friends to do it. He went to the desk, set up at lunch, and he turned in the card. Everyone at my lunch table watched as one of the teachers delivered the card to Lauren. We continued to watch as she smiled and giggled with her friends. She then jumped up and ran to the desk where they were selling the cards and roses and wrote some stuff down and then ran back to her table. A few moments later, the teacher got up and walked over to my table. She gave a card to my friend, the one that I paid to write the note. It was from Lauren. She had recognized his handwriting and wanted to go on a date.
Ooh.
He got up and went to her table and accepted the offer.
Ooh. Ouch.
That hurts, man. Oh, guess he won't do that again. Add that to my plans. Make sure this friend does not have very recognizable handwriting.
Wow.
Apparently, she really liked the friend.
I guess so. Or like the handwriting.
Wasn't much of a friend, was it?
No, not really. That's the ultimate cock block, if you ask me.
Little bastard. Damn, sixth graders just don't get it, man.
We teach them young is what we do.
Right, absolutely. So I got 2 more stories here. This one here called Irresistible Irony. About a year had passed since my amicable divorce, and I decided it was time to start dating again. Unsure how to begin, I thought I'd scan the personals column of my local newspaper. I came across 3 men who seemed like they'd be promising candidates. A couple of days later, I was checking my answering machine and discovered a message from my ex-husband. He says, I was over visiting the kids yesterday. While I was there, I happened to notice you had circled some ads in the paper. Don't bother calling the guy in the second column. I can tell you right now, it won't work out. That guy is me.
Wow. Hey, well, first of all, kind of to elaborate on this, first of all, I don't think anybody does personal ads anymore in the paper.
No, I don't think so.
And answer machines, I don't think those even exist anymore.
I don't know how old this story is.
It's got to be pretty old.
It's still a good one, though.
It is.
It's still a good one. I mean, it's like nowadays you got a you can just swipe left, swipe right, and you can have you a Valentine's Day pretty immediately. All right, and then one more before we move on here. This is called Devoted and Determined. So, from Sandra L. Caron. Anyway, during World War II, my parents had planned a romantic Valentine's Day wedding. Suddenly, my father, then stationed at Camp Edwards in Massachusetts, received orders to prepare to ship out, and all leaves were canceled. Being a young man in love, he went AWOL. He and my mother were married 4 days earlier than originally planned, and he returned to base to an angry sergeant. After hearing the explanation, the sergeant understandingly replied, "Okay, okay." Then, as an afterthought, "But don't let it happen again."
Damn.
That's fabulous.
Do you have any horror stories for Valentine's Day? Do you guys even celebrate it at all? I personally don't.
Not really, no.
I think maybe
No.
to go out to eat is nice, but anything beyond that for me, I'm not one to really. You hear a lot of people talk about not wanting to make a big deal out of this day. Plus, it's considered a Hallmark day where everybody likes to profit off of candy cards and all that.
Right,
stuff.
right. You kind of feel this. You kind of feel this pressure to go out and buy the perfect gift. It's kind of like Christmas a little bit. You got to go buy this card, and it's got to be perfect. You got to be romantic, and sometimes she might be expecting it, so it's like that's the wrong reasons. I think
it sends the wrong message because I think what happens is a lot of people depend on that day to do something when you really should kind of do it throughout the year.
Ideally, you would think.
And
It's actually much more meaningful when it's like in the middle of May. You just come home and you got a nice note written.
Well, middle of May is Mother's Day.
That's true. You can't do that. Well, maybe it's toward the end of Thanksgiving. I ruined the joke. Never mind.
No, for me personally, it's just that's something I've always that was something I learned from my stepdad, Jim, when he was alive, is that, he used to do a lot of things for my mom. He used to buy her roses all the time, at least once a month. She'd just never know, when to expect them.
Right.
So, seeing that over the course of 10 years kind of built the design for me to always kind of keep somebody in mind if I'm in a relationship, that you don't really need to designate birthdays, holidays, or days like Valentine's Day to do something for someone. Yeah. And it means more. It's more thoughtful. It's more, it's one of those situations where you don't have to put a whole lot of effort into it, but I can almost guarantee the person receiving it is going to probably value and cherish that a lot more.
Yeah.
Knowing
personally, I would
Valentine's
prefer
Day.
to have 5 to 10 small gestures throughout the year, rather than one big grand gesture on Valentine's Day.
Right.
Like, and it almost like, all right, are you doing this because it's Valentine's Day, or are you doing this because you love me, or is it a little bit of both? But at least with the small gestures, that was, there's no question.
And the flip side to that, for some couples, they are extremely busy, and sometimes that day kind of breaks it up to where they just maybe, hopefully, would slow down. So it just depends on who you are and what you believe in. Really, that's kind of what it boils down to.
All right, y'all out there watching, who out there, y'all celebrate the Valentine's Day, or do you kind of feel?
Or do you
like,
have your own horror stories?
Like we feel, yeah. Yeah, Silly Redhead from YouTube says, "I love February 15th, half-price chocolate." That's actually, interestingly, on Easter, we don't get the kids Easter baskets anymore, or nothing like that. We don't buy them anything for Easter like we used to. We've made it this yearly tradition. We make a pilgrimage an hour away up to the Russell Stover store.
Yeah, I went with you guys.
Yeah,
remember?
And that's what we do every year the day after, and we get I give them a budget and they go nuts and just buy whatever they can fit within that budget. And I'm happy, they're happy. We're good, man. So, that's an excellent point. Half-price chocolate. You can't beat that.
No, you can't.
Not at all.
Good for the belly.
Oh, yeah, it is. That's one of my weaknesses.
So good for the teeth.
That's one of my weaknesses, chocolate.
Not mine. I'm not big on sweets.
Especially little Reese's. Oh.
Now, I will tear up some Reese Pieces, especially if you've been freezing them, in the freezer. And get them, oh, man, that's delicious shit right there.
So good.
Oh.
So good. So let's move on to there was a event. The reason you weren't here last week, which last week was interesting. I made it through, fortunately. Which you saw the before the show where I was going. Uh-oh.
I was traveling when you sent me a message about the guest canceling on the live stream.
Right. It was like 30 minutes before I was supposed to go live with him, and I had all my notes done. I was ahead of the game.
Right.
I was ready to go. And then he says, "Oh God, something happened." I was like, but it went pretty well. Made it through.
Yeah.
We're good.
I think we had more viewers without me, which
Yeah, I'm starting to notice a theme here.
I'll put my 2 weeks in.
Duck down. Duck down. Get out of the screenshot, man. Nobody saw that, did they?
No, I don't think they did.
All right. So, anyway, so you actually you were not here because you were going to this event, Tim Tebow's Night to Shine, and you wanted to talk about that. Did you want to play the video first for that, or did you want to give a little intro for that, or what that was even about?
Well, I approached you with having this conversation because, naturally, one of the things we discuss, or the premise of the show, is to talk about uncomfortable conversations, right? So a lot of people have this tendency of feeling uncomfortable around adults and children with special needs. A lot of people don't know how to act. They don't know what to expect. And, I want to kind of highlight that even though there are kids and adults out there with special needs, they are, besides their disabilities, they're not really a whole lot different from you and I. The difference is that they're judged and looked down on because they're not able to function as, most of us can in a normal society. They depend and require a lot of help. So the backstory behind all this, you have to go back, 23 years. And the video that you're fixing to play is actually the testimony of my Aunt Nettie, who talked about her daughter Jessica, who is my cousin. And once you roll this video here in a second, this will kind of give you an idea of what everything led up to what was Night to Shine 2020.
Gotcha. All right. Oh, I suppose that's my cue to play.
It is.
Oh, okay. I guess we'll go ahead and play it.
Hi, I'm Nettie. I'm the pastor of special needs here at Heritage Church. All my life I've known that I would be the mother of a baby girl. I used to dream about painting her nails, fixing her hair, and teaching her to sing. When Jessica was born, she was absolutely perfect. She was everything that I dreamed she'd be. We noticed really quickly that Jessica had some development delays, and when she was 18 months old, she had her first seizure. Jessica had hundreds, probably thousands of seizures within her first few years of life. I can remember one day Jessica was having a very violent seizure, and I just fell to my knees and I just said, God, where are you? Don't you see this? And why aren't you doing something? It was very hard for me to understand how God could allow my baby to suffer the way that she was suffering. One day I was praying for Jessica after she had had about 30 seizures in one day, and I remember specifically hearing, will you trust me with Jessica? And that day I knew I had to make a decision to trust God and to know that He would use this for good, or to turn away from God. And that day I completely surrendered everything to Him. I prayed and I said, Lord, Jessica is yours, and I don't understand this path that we're walking down, and this is not what I would have chosen at all, but I will trust you. One day I was at my office and a lady came to the door and she asked to see me, and she said, someone told me you could help me. And I said, okay, what can I do? And she said, well, my child just started having seizures and I don't know what to do. We sat and we talked and we cried. And somehow, me telling her about my pain and about what God had done in my life helped her, and it brought her hope. Several of us began to pray about a special needs ministry here in Moultrie. With over 1,200 children receiving special education services through the public school system, we knew that there were a lot of families who were just like we were, who needed hope. They needed to hear that someone cared about them. And that is the way that Breathe was born.
I met Nettie about 4 years ago through a mutual friend that volunteered for Breathe, and we were invited to come and go to church here and participate in the Breathe program. And she talked with me personally about her dream for having a church with special needs people. And by having a special needs child with Jessica, I think Nettie saw the vision and saw the need for the parents to be able to worship and for the special needs people to be able to worship. And I think that God has just used Nettie in that way and has just touched so many lives.
Well, when Nettie and I first started talking to each other and getting to know each other, and told me about her daughter and I got to meet her, I instantly drew a connection with my own sister, who had a child with a disability that unfortunately passed away at age 11. But to see what she's done with the children with disabilities, and to see that every Sunday when you show up at church and see them participating and being a welcome member of the church, she breaks those chains. You know, she shows everyone that they have abilities, they have things that they can do, and there's certainly blessings from God for all of us.
Over the years, we have seen several hundred families who have come and who have learned that there is hope and that God does love them and that He has not forgotten about them. And they've been ministered to by this church and by the Breathe team. I'd like to say that Jessica's seizures are over, but they're not. She still has seizures. She still struggles with them. But now we know that God is with us. We know He's not forgotten about us. And we know that He's got Jessica in His hands, and we fully trust Him with her. This journey has been hard. I was a wreck. I was a mess. But God rescued me. He taught me that I could trust Him. He never left us, even through the hard times, even when we felt like no one understood and like we were all alone. God has never left us. He's been faithful. He's been good. We've learned that His promises are true and that He takes care of His children. And I'm so thankful that He is not only my Father, but that He's Jessica's father and that He loves her and He cares for her.
So yeah, that's basically to kind of outline this story within my family that a lot of people aren't aware of. This is something that I've never really discussed on social media. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've really even discussed it with you. And so
you mentioned it, but
I've mentioned
not really
it, but not really in depth.
Right.
And so Jessica was born with Mowa syndrome, which is a genetic mutation of the genes, and there's not many cases known in the world. For 19 years, Nettie did not know what was wrong with her daughter. A lot of the specialists from all over the world could not pinpoint what was wrong with her. Mm-hmm. So when she was 19 years old, she's 23 now, she finally got an answer to what was wrong with her daughter. So that then paved the way for the Breathe Foundation. That paved the way for Night to Shine. And it's kind of taken us in a direction where, my family has always done so much for the community. I've done a lot myself, but this really kind of opened our eyes to there's such a big community of special needs adults and children that it seems to hinder, in our society because it's not considered normal. And so what Night to Shine brings from the Tim Tebow Foundation is to remind people that, those individuals who are special to us are loved and cherished by a huge community. And it's also to advocate, for children and adults with special needs that say, hey, you may not be a part of this, but here, if you want to go ahead and play that. This is from Night to Shine. So
yeah, you can just go ahead and keep talking over it because it's just music, just so the podcast audience has something.
Yeah, so basically this year's attendance was the biggest that they had ever seen in the 6 years of putting on Night to Shine, with 500 volunteers and 300 recipients.
That's crazy.
A friend of mine, Rebecca, went down with me. She has a daughter with special needs, and she really wanted to be a part of this event to be able to be a buddy, and we were both buddies. So what that means is we're paired up with an individual with special needs, and we just make it about them that night. It's about talking to them, dancing with them, and having a great time, and just showing them that, for just a couple hours out of the day, they don't have to worry about them having a disability or medical problems or anything like that. But then to see the parents, just the smiles on their face, to see that their child is being loved by a stranger that doesn't even know them is priceless, dude. It's like you have to
a
be
moment
there.
to just let go and let loose and just not, because I can imagine having to deal with that kind of stuff as the family members too. Is just got to be stressful all the time. Like, you know, it's 24/7 job that you now have to do.
Right.
And it's like I can just imagine having that brief moment of an opportunity to breathe. You know?
Well,
I think that's a good.
It's a good analogy to use, but what a lot of people, what I hope that they take away from this conversation is that it is uncomfortable to discuss sometimes because people don't genuinely know how to act around someone with special needs. They feel uncomfortable. They seem sort of out of place. But when you have an event like Night to Shine and you look around, and I've watched the progress of what my Aunt Nettie has done for the community. So you see it from year one, and it's built all the way up to more than 1,200 people at this event. I mean, we were talking about next year's event, and we don't know if we're going to be able to hold everybody.
You might have to go to a bigger venue, huh?
But there is no bigger venue.
That's a good problem to have.
That's what we discussed. That's a great problem to have. The kickback to that is then you're starting to have to turn away people, and you don't want that. So she's got a year from now to figure this out on how she's going to, hopefully take on more participants. You know, they do everything from you kind of go through this line around the church, and there's these different rooms, different stations, and the guys get boutonnieres. They get a bag with a T-shirt. They get their shoes shined. The girls and women usually get their hair done, makeup done, and then photos everywhere. And then they do what's called a red carpet event. The red carpet event is basically your introduction into the Night to Shine, but it's for them. So, they welcome that individual or that participant to Night to Shine, and it's food, Chick-fil-A. They donated over 600 chicken sandwiches to that event. You know how expensive that can be.
That's all. Yeah, definitely.
Most everything is donated. Some things that my aunt, had to pay for. But the overall sense and the community that have really stepped up over the last 6 years has been phenomenal. And she's advocated for special needs in such a way that it has become one of the biggest things in South Georgia. It's pretty impressive, but it's not just my Aunt Nettie; it's all the volunteers and that played a role in making this night possible. We were just lucky enough to go down, 2 days before the event and help out where we could, and then we had buddies that we were assigned to, and it was just great to hang out with somebody that normally typically wouldn't. And because of my family's history with Jessica, I've been around someone with special needs all my life. So this for me was an environment that I could really adapt to, which a lot of people can't. So I hope that next year in 2021, if you hear the event locally, because this is something that was done throughout 700 churches in the U.S., it was done in, I think
this was done simultaneously across?
Yeah, it's done. It's worldwide.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not. So 700 churches here, more than 200,000 participants were involved with Night to Shine. No telling how many volunteers. And then you have, I think, 20 or 30 countries that are also involved with this. And then Tim Tebow actually makes an appearance at different locations for Night to Shine.
He's got his work cut out of him. He's going to show up at all of them.
Right. But, I tell you what, I mean, for him to be the front man to advocate for special needs, adults and children is really good because he's a very faith-based individual, as you know. But also, too, it's just, I encourage people to step out of your box that you're so used to and the whole sense of what is considered normal, and put yourself in a situation to where, you can help somebody and not really necessarily help somebody, but just to be a friend, to be a stranger to somebody and say, hey, you're not, I mean, not to say this to them, but just kind of think that I'm not different from this person with the fact that they have a couple of disabilities. Talk to them, spend some time with them. Rebecca was on the dance floor with her participant for most of the night.
Hell, we all got disabilities of some sort. Some are just more visible than others, require some more attention than others. So
right. So that's why I wasn't here last week. Night to Shine was a huge success for my Aunt Nettie, and we're definitely looking forward to 2021. So that was a really good event.
Bayonet from DLive.tv says you literally got me in tears now. That's awesome. Silly Redhead from YouTube, she says education is the key. Teach people how to interact with individuals with exceptional abilities. That's awesome. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people in our audience that would be really supportive of an event like this, and maybe if there's one locally a little bit closer to us, and we can let people know about it.
There is one in
ahead of
Nashville.
time,
There
so
is
that
one
way-
in Nashville, but because my family is so well known in South Georgia because of my aunt and what she's done with that community.
Mhm.
You know, I've got a lot of aunts and cousins, but I go down not only to see family,
Right.
but to spend time with Jessica, which, you know, my aunt has told people I don't come down very often. The fact that Jessica remembers me after so many months of not being around is pretty unique.
Oh,
And the
really?
way she's very accepting to me, because she doesn't, she's not really accepting of a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
Just because, you know, she's got mobile syndrome. So, you know, it's just,
I've never
she's
heard-
nonverbal.
I've never heard of that until you.
A
said
lot
that.
of people don't,
Yeah,
you know, and
that's-
it's just
there's a whole bunch of different ones, I'm sure.
Right, and there is, but she's nonverbal, so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it is through a little bit of sign language that she does know,
Mhm.
and she will tell you she wants a hug by leaning into you, or she'll tell you she wants, you know, she'll sign like a kiss on a cheek, and you know, and Becky had the opportunity to kiss her on the cheek, which Jessica does not normally do with a lot of strangers.
Right.
So that was a huge thing for me to witness, that a friend of mine was able to do that with Jessica. Because let me tell you something.
Were you crying?
Man,
You were
I held back. I'll tell you what.
Why?
It's just, you know, when you see
Big
your
strong
cousin,
man, you.
Well, I tell you what, it's got a way of tearing at the heart and
Sure.
pulling those heartstrings. You know, and it's hard to man up to that, because it's like you see somebody and that is completely different than you, that cannot speak to you, that cannot tell you what's wrong, they can't verbally say, hey, I'm dealing with this is the pain I'm going through. And then all you do is see her smile. When she was at the event Night to Shine, she was walking around pointing at things and just had the biggest smile on her face. And I've got a lot of pictures up on my Facebook page and videos for people to go back and look, but it's something that I think everybody should at least partake in at least once in their life, just to understand that community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I mean,
hopefully they can get more involved.
First thing that tends to come to my mind is, you know, when you see somebody like that, you don't know, you almost want to, you don't know whether or not it's okay to talk about it or ask them, or, you know, how they, you don't know them, so you don't know if they're sensitive about the subject and don't want to talk about it, or if there's somebody that's like real open. So it's really, it is always kind of awkward to kind of know how to engage in that situation, because it is so much different than just a normal interaction between two, you know, I don't want to say normal people, but, you know, just people that don't have those different disabilities. So
I tell people, and the best way I can educate and kind of give some advice to that situation, be yourself.
Yeah.
Talk to them as if you talk to your friends, your family. Don't, because they have a disability, for the love of God, don't treat them differently.
Yeah.
Do not do that. That is like
See,
number
now,
one etiquette.
My general tendency is just give people shit and make fun of them.
Right.
Just give you a hard time. And I know
it's
some people with disabilities do tend to enjoy that. Like, it makes them feel like they're being treated like normal, you know, making fun of my disability or whatever. I'm not saying, not out of meanness or nothing like that, not like a
Right.
bullying way, but just more like hey, you're fat, that kind of thing,
Well-
or people make fun of me for being short, just little shit like that, It's,
Well, and the thing is that those individuals want nothing more than to feel accepted by the community that is considered, in a sense, normal.
Right.
But you also have to remember, adults and children with special needs, in their eyes and in their image, what they have is considered normal.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably look at us like there's something wrong with us. Nobody really stops to think that way.
Yeah. Did you have an opportunity to meet my nephew that he's autistic, and he's also deaf?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
yes.
he comes to the house every now and again, and when we know he's coming, it's time to childproof the house, because this kid wants to touch everything, get into everything. He's a wild kid,
Right.
and still trying to figure. I do not envy the parents and their responsibilities with that one child. Like, I've got 4 kids, and it's a whole different world, because I see the way they interact. It's really weird. Like, they've gotten so used to it. I forgot exactly how old he is. I think he's like 9 or 10 by now. But it's like they almost have this sixth sense that they know he's about to run out the door, and it's like instantly watching the two parents, act, and they're on it, and they've gotten used to the it's normal to them now.
Right.
But I just imagine how stressful it must be. And then to have an event like this to be able to go to just be able to let loose a little bit, like, that's got to be an amazing moment.
It is, man, because when you look around, you see nothing but smiles. You see these individuals just loving life, as they should.
Right.
You know, but unfortunately, the society that we live in, once that night is over, they go right back into that world that is very unkind and very cruel to them. And that's one of the reasons why I have a lot of respect for my Aunt Nettie and for what she has done for this community.
Yeah, there's a lot of good people out there, man.
There is.
Definitely.
But what you also have to understand is by knowing Jessica's situation and her disabilities is what paved the path for me to be the person I am with all the giving back that I've done through Vanderbilt's Children's Hospital and the different, donation drives, so she really kind of laid that footprint for me to follow, although it's not directly involving anybody with special needs. However, it's taught me to be caring in other ways and helping people in other ways.
Yeah.
So a lot of what you see through me is contributed to what I've watched my aunt do over the years. So she's been kind of a teacher, but the biggest teacher has been Jessica. She has always told me, she's always teach me to be kind and be very patient. You have to be. It is something that you tend to develop. It slows you down a lot.
God, patience
and that's
is something
really. We could use a lot of that in this world, but here's the other thing too.
Have you seen our Facebook group? We could definitely use a little, just a sprinkling of patience.
And it's just this was something I never really, like I said, I never really talked about. I never really discussed. And it's not because I didn't want to. It's just sometimes it's nice to keep your life private in certain dynamics, and that being one of them. Now I'm in a position to where I want to really kind of advocate for, for starting up programs that really could be beneficial to other families, and especially those individuals dealing with special needs and things of that nature. So, yeah, it was a great event. We had a great time. There's a ton of pictures, and hopefully next year, I plan on going down. Becky said that she would go with me, but what I want to try to do is I want to take a few people with me from here to come down there to experience that, to kind of see that other side of my life. And a conversation I had with Becky on the drive back to Tennessee is that, I don't have no family here. So you don't see that dynamic of what my family or how I am with my family until you go to Moultrie and see that other side of my life, because it is so different compared to what it is here in Nashville.
Right.
And it's not like, I've got my aunts and my cousins. All I have is Kelly. So you only see so much. But then when you go down there, and like Becky said, this is like a whole different world of who I am. I don't tend to share it that often because I just want to keep it. It means a lot to me. It's just kind of close to the heart. But now I'm just in a position to where it's like, I would love to see this become even bigger next year. And I really hope, and I know what it will. So it's just something I wanted to talk about. And that's why I wasn't here last week. And that was a really good event. And I can't thank Becky enough for, tagging along and being a part of that, family of special needs and adults and children. So it was good. Good stuff.
From the comments here, a silly redhead from YouTube, she says most prefer that you just ask them. As a special needs parent, I want people to come and ask. It's the only way to educate. And Tina, Miss Robinson from YouTube says, spending adequate time with people with disabilities is a very humbling experience. I contribute my ability to be grateful for basic life functions to my time working in group homes. Right on.
And just one last thing before we wrap up this segment. What I want people to understand is that this show is talking about uncomfortable conversations. People with a disability that you're not familiar with is uncomfortable. A lot of people don't know how to act. A lot of people don't know what to say or what to do, like you mentioned. So when we talk about this, it's like they said in the comments section, that just kind of gives you a little bit of insight on how to approach people with a special need disability.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, if you have any questions for ask Anthony. He's got a little experience. He might be able to point you in the right direction.
23 years, so.
Absolutely. All right. So, and there was one last thing that we wanted to cover tonight. It's about just basically it's a little bit of a hashtag UnframeofBody update, but also talking about holding ourselves accountable.
Right.
I mean, when you brought up the subject, first thing I thought was about the UnframeofBody challenge that we were doing. And for anybody that doesn't know, we're working on doing 100 push-ups every day in the month of February. So far, so good. I've been doing pretty well myself. I've actually made better progress than I thought I would. I've always been kind of naturally strong, on the upper torso, so it's worked out well. But a lot of it is I have a hard time holding myself accountable for things that I know I should be doing, like eating right, like getting myself into some kind of physical activity beyond my job, which is already a lot of physical activity,
Right.
but it's not quite enough. And that's why I kind of lean on, and a lot of people need this, is to lean on others to help hold them accountable. So, you know, when I put forward this challenge, and when me and Ryan and you brought it up, it was the idea of, okay, well, now we have to do it because we've announced it to the world, and now people are going to be expecting that we do it. Now I have the pressure on to make me actually do it.
Right.
I can't talk myself out of it like I normally would, which I just it drives me nuts. I don't know what it is about me that I'm so easily able to talk myself out of things like that.
It's funny how it's easier to talk ourselves out of it than it is to talk ourselves into something,
Mm.
because we have to find time to do certain things
Yeah.
that we normally typically wouldn't do. And, you know, I've been trying to be better about holding myself accountable for not only in that regard, but also in relationships, friendships, and workplace, you know, and just fellow coworkers. But I think there's always something that we can learn, you know, just by holding ourselves accountable. And when we do that, you know, I think that kind of grows our character. It grows us as an individual, you know, and, and we learn to accept things.
I totally get that. The problem isn't, you know, what I could learn from holding myself accountable.
Right.
The problem for me is what to do to get to that point where I am holding myself accountable.
Right.
Where you know, where I'm actually, you know, when I say I'm not going to get that snack out of the snack machine, I just don't do it. You know,
we're creatures of habit, man.
I know there's got to be
are.
some kind of, you know, I can come up with little tricks or something, but I just don't know what that would be. You know, maybe, you know, if anybody has any ideas, I'd be glad to hear them. It's just there's certain, like, I'm really good about doing certain things, but then other things I'm like, I drag my feet on it and I don't know why, and I just can't seem to break that rut, that routine, that programming, or whatever you want to call it. And it's like, oh my God. And every single time I do these things, it's like I right immediately afterwards, I'm like, God, shit.
So
I can't believe I just did that again.
So let me ask you this. Do you think by doing the push-ups this entire month is going to force you to start holding yourself accountable later on, even after the challenge?
Well, what we're talking about so far is doing another challenge next month and continuing the habit. Now, hopefully, as people start to break off from the challenge or more people join, I don't know exactly how it's going to work out. I hope more people join because it is fun to do it with other people. But I kind of hope that there's enough of a habit formed, and I've gotten to where I'm doing it enough that now it just becomes part of my day, like brushing my teeth. You know, I you know, when I was younger, I did not brush my teeth like I should. I went through a whole bout with having gum disease, and my gums were bleeding, and they had to go in and do a deep cleaning because I was getting gingivitis, and it was gross. And this is my early 20s, you know, my teens to early 20s. You know, young men just aren't always the best at hygiene. And so I went through all that, and it's like, okay, now that was traumatic enough that it started me, okay, now I'm going to brush my teeth every day. I'm going to do this. You know, I do the things I need to do. So it's like, okay, so maybe this will be enough of a change that we can go ahead and make it that same habit and keep that daily. Just, this is what I do now. This is just, you know, no questions. I know I have to do it. I don't know.
Well, I
don't feel like that
habit,
answered your question. I apologize.
No, it's fine. I think the good thing about doing this challenge is it does create that habit. But I think what's going to happen is that after the challenge is over, with doing the push-ups, that when we go a week or two without doing them, subconsciously we start to feel guilty, you know, because we were pressured, not really pressured, but, well, yeah, I guess you kind of got pressured into doing something. And then once we get into that habit, it's like, man, it's been like 2 weeks since I've done it. God, I feel bad. I need to get back into doing it, you know. And that's a good problem to have because you're holding yourself accountable for not doing them.
Gosh, I hope you're right. We'll find out.
Yeah,
we're still looking for ideas for what to do for the next month. Ryan mentioned just going out for 10 minutes of a jog, or, you know, at least a fast walk, or just get out and do something for 10 minutes, whatever that is. I see in the comments section we got squats, robe planks. I am not putting on my robe every time I need to do planks. I'm just going to do planks. Sit-ups. Actually, matter of fact, the other night we were when I posted that video about doing all those push-ups, when I found out I was doing them wrong or I wasn't doing them enough, which is fine.
Becky watched it and she kind of pointed out when we were on vacation.
Which is fine, you know, whatever. But, you know, now I'm touching my nose to the ground. But anyway, that same night, the kid I was doing them with is a family friend of ours, and
Yeah, he did the video with us.
Yeah. We were out in the living room, and the other kids were getting involved, and he was doing planks, but he was taking a backpack full of books and putting it on. He was doing it for a minute and a half. I'm like, oh shit, let me see that backpack. And I lifted it up. I'm like, dang, I'm like, let me try that. So I put it on, and I'm like, I don't know, I haven't done planks in a long time. So I was like, I want to try it, and I'm going to do it with the backpack. I'm going to see how long I can last. Boy, I'll tell you what, I was shaking like crazy. I did not make a minute and a half, but I did do better than I thought I would do.
That's
so
good, yeah.
I think it was like a minute and 23 or so. It was so close. I was so mad, but I just could not hold it no longer. Like, this is ridiculous. But, you know, he's in like a JROTC program for school. And
JROTC.
Yeah, and they do all the workouts, and they do all the obstacle courses and stuff. So he's I've noticed, you know, this young man has continued to, you know, gets a lot of exercise and workouts and stuff as a
maybe
result
that's
of
what
that.
we ought to that's what we ought to go do is like go to a playground, create an obstacle course for ourselves.
Yeah, there we
kind of like
go.
a military style, you know, where you got to do the monkey bars.
That would be fun. I used to love doing shit like that.
Of course, I can't do monkey bars because I'm just grabbing them and I'm just walking because I'm so fucking tall. I'd have to bend my knees just to get through it.
Yeah, and I mean at work, it's kind of one side effect has been that I've started to. Like there's a couple jobs that I have where I can just kind of hang from whatever equipment I'm around and just hang, and I'll hang as long as I can, you know, it works out the cord. It's like I could do that between cars. It's no big deal, you know, just, you know, couple few seconds here, couple few seconds there. And it's like, I'm trying to think of ways I can incorporate some kind of exercise, some kind of physical exertion without like totally changing, you know, where I don't have the excuse of I don't have time, you know, that which is, you know, it seems to be the biggest and easiest go-to excuse. Now, here's an interesting thing that I've noticed is I noticed my daughter, she does workouts. She's been starting to do that. My middle daughter, she's starting to get to that age where she's concerned about the way she looks, and she's doing, you know, wall sits and push-ups and sit-ups and all that stuff. But she does it privately. I do my push-ups. I'm very private about it. Like, it's not like a family event. You know what I'm saying?
You could turn it into one.
And that's what I'm saying. I was like, I almost, because I've always felt like, I don't know why that is. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but it's almost like I don't feel comfortable exercising in front of other people. It doesn't feel like a family event, so to speak.
I think
it would be better if it was.
Maybe concentration, just knowing that you're trying to get them done or doing them right. Or
no, I don't even think it's that. No. It's almost like I don't want them to see me do it. And I don't know why.
It's like getting changed. You don't want to see your kids, you know, you don't want your kids seeing you get changed.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's almost it's not that I'm ashamed of it. It's just, and I don't know why. It seems I don't understand it. I can't make any sense
you know,
of it.
And to be honest with you, I think from the rest of the month, you need to do it in front of them. Maybe that might promote a healthier lifestyle for them.
Yeah, because when we were doing it out their living room, you know, everybody was jumping in, and the kids were doing it, and they were like, you know, let me try that, and we were getting the timers out, and we were doing stuff, and it was fun.
I think that would. I honestly, I think that's a problem. You know what? There's another challenge. Push your kids.
Yeah.
Push your kids. You know, you want them to model after what you're doing for a healthier lifestyle. Well, I mean, if you're going to teach your kids how to eat better and do good in school, why not show them how to exercise better?
Yeah. No, I totally get it, and I agree with you 100%. I'm just, I guess I'm looking at the psychology behind whatever's going on in my mind.
To get past that.
That's I don't know why. Yeah. I wasn't taught that way. I mean, it's not like, I mean, my family, we didn't like exercise or anything like that. It wasn't part of our thing. Right. You know, it wasn't like. It wasn't, you know, we went out to the park, and the kids went out and played, and we ran and all that good stuff. But
we go hiking sometimes.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do stuff like that, adventures and things. But I mean, as far as just exercise per se, it feels like almost like, because like my wife has never seen me poop. Okay. Never in 15 years, 16, 17 years. Good Lord, it's been a long time.
Awkward.
Yeah, she has never seen me poop. Never. I'm so private about it.
I'm private about that too. I think most individuals are. I mean, if I'm in the bathroom taking a piss, I leave the door open. I mean, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But when you're dropping a deuce, dude, that's like, nah.
I feel so vulnerable.
Kind of want some privacy, you know. I'm taking the kids to the pool.
Like, that door is shut. That's the only time I ever locked the door. Anyways.
Wow.
Anyway, no, but that's what exercising feels like to me too. Like it feels like it has to be a private event, and I don't know why. I have no reason to. No. I don't know. I'll have to think more on it, but anyway, let's wrap up the show with our favorite segment of the day. You ready for this?
Yeah, it's
What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck is that on Wish?
We're getting good at this.
I know. Now we need to actually record it sometime.
I think people might enjoy it more if they hear it coming from us.
I'm starting to think we need to find something more than underwear that look weird. But these for the podcast listening audience, what we're looking at is some kind of a weird magnet balls on underwear, like a box, it looks like a pair of boxer briefs, but with magnets all over the crotch and around the back end.
Go ahead.
Well, it says 63 magnet upgraded version. I don't know what this is or why, but here's
what the fuck is it? I mean,
that's it. That's why we have this segment. But the first thing I thought about was, you know how for a while they were trying to sell those little bracelets, those copper bracelets that were supposed to have like health properties or something.
Yeah,
like
they're
that.
supposed to help you with arthritis.
Yeah, and you just put it on and instantly, and and I feel like there was a little bit of a placebo effect going on with that.
It's a psychological thing.
Yeah. So I almost wonder if this is like another version of that. Like, put magnets on your crotch and women will instantly be attracted to your junk.
I wonder what that does to your swimmers.
I don't know. Oh, what does that do? Does it make them swim all to one side, or does it, since magnets are on like a north-south pole, does it like make half of them go one way and half of them go the other way?
Oh, for fuck's sake. I don't know. I guess maybe. It's like, well, here's the thing though. It doesn't give a price. I'm not seeing a price. So kind of makes you wonder what it costs to get your balls magnetized.
I don't know, but they run from size small to 5XL.
Well,
so.
what I found with Wish though is everything comes from China, and that shit is always one or two sizes too small.
Oh, so a 5XL is
probably a 3X.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
We need to buy something off of Wish, and then we need to bring it on the show, wear it or something.
Somebody mentioned buying us some kind of weird red jumpsuit looking thing that we saw on Wish.
That was Myra.
Yeah,
Myra said that if
Myra, I haven't seen those yet, and we agreed
either.
we agreed to wear them.
We did.
If you bought them,
you would wear the red one. I was going to wear the blue one. So Myra, if you're listening, if you still want to purchase those, go to Wish. We'll wear them.
We'll make it happen. All right,
Fuck
folks.
the robes.
Look at that perfect timing. 7:59. Let's wrap this shit up and go to bed, dude.
I got to go to work.
You got to go to work.
Yeah.
Same difference.
Pretty much.
All right, y'all. This has been another Uncomfortable Conversation Without a Condom. I'm your host, Daniel Wagner.
Anthony Trejo.
And if you want to, please leave a rate and review. Share this video with your friends. It would be greatly appreciated.
Share, comment, like.
Definitely trying to get this show out in front of new people. So any way you can help with that, please help us out with that.
And happy Valentine's Day, ladies.
Oh yeah.